On February 17, 2005, in Auckland, New Zealand, 30,000 plus spectators packed into the cricket stadium to witness the first ever T20 international match in the history of cricket. The match was played between Australia and New Zealand. Australia batted first and were 54 for 4 before Ricky Ponting, with a masterful 98 or 55 deliveries, lift Australia to 214 for 5 off their 20 overs. In reply, New Zealand were 170 for 9 with one delivery remaining in the 20th over. The batsman was Kyle Mills, the bowler Glenn McGrath. He turns at the bowler's end, but then he stood beside the umpire and attempted to underarm the delivery to Kyle Myers. The umpire was the flamboyant Billy Bowden. Who can forget that umpire, the great Billy Bowden? He immediately went into his pocket and flashed a red card. And for a brief moment, the cricket world sighed. They didn't know if this was a new rule in cricket. But then, many have said afterwards that it was choreographed. Others have said that it was the enigmatic Billy Bowden, always prepared for incidents like these, and he capitalized on it by flashing a red card. Whatsoever it was, then it was all in jest. It was not a rule, but was added to the value of the spectators. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Please slash a like on the video and click on that subscribe button. Last night in St. Kitts at the Bastille Cricket Stadium, it was the end of the 19th over, and the umpire took out his red card and flashed it in the direction of the Trinbago Knight Riders captain, Kieron Pollard. Kieron Pollard pointed to Sunil Narain to leave the field. It was the first official red card to be issued in the history of cricket. Back in 2005, one Indian television station said that it will never happen, but it happened last night. They were slow in their over rate, and the CPL had warned them before this. And I must congratulate the CPL for taking steps to speed up the game of cricket. If I was a betting man, I would have won some money last night, because I would have bet that the first time it would happen, it would have been to the TKR. With 8 members of their teams over 30 and 6 of them closer to 40 than 30, you'll expect that they will be the slowest moving team in the competition. Now, the game of cricket has seen it becoming slower and slower and slower. And so the CPL management have taken a decision to implement this red card. And the teams were briefed about it. I have placed in the video description all the rules that govern the red cards. So you may read those rules in the video description. But at the end, the closing notes of those rules, I just want to just read 2 paragraphs of the closing notes of those rules. It said, over rates will be monitored by the third umpire and communicated to the captains via on-field umpire at the end of every over. It didn't say at the end of the 17th. So Kieron Pollard knew that he was behind the over rate from the very first over. And the Trinbago Knight Riders, they did nothing to speed it up. Because there in the statement it said that this is communicated to the players after every over by the umpire. It did not stop there. It said as well as the crowd and the TV audience. with graphics showing how far they are behind or ahead of the overrate. It went on further to say dispensation will be given for injuries, DRS, and time wasting by the batting side where appropriate. In my opinion, CPL have covered all their bases. And I do not think that is the end of it. For other leagues around the world are going to adopt this approach sooner or later. I am telling you that don't be surprised that the next T20 franchise cricket competition coming up, you will see these rules being adopted. It may even be adopted at the Abu Dhabi T10 or at the Big Bash League coming up in Australia later this year. Other leagues around the world will adopt this rule. It is fascinating why, especially in the CPL, we cannot get the overs finished on time. I watch leagues like the T20 Blast in England, and those matches, the overs always finish on time. So what's the difference? If you watch the women play, their games always finish on time. We often heard, and most of us will agree, that men are faster. We run faster, we jump higher than women. We are more agile than women. So if the women can complete their overs in the allotted time, why is it then that the men who are supposed to be faster and more athletic and who can jump faster and run faster and walk faster, why is it then the men cannot finish their overs on time? I think this is a good move from the CPL. And this is a good move overall for cricket. And long may it last. And may it now becomes the norm. As one commentator said last night, maybe it was a captain who should have been given the red card to leave the field. We saw red cards in other sports. Why cricket is an exception? It shouldn't be. I really appreciate your company. Good morning, everyone. I will take your comments. And so it's good to see you. Christopher Bristol is saying, Pollard and Bravo feel them superior. Well, them far from that. Trinidad team didn't show sponsorship. They feel this is the best and they country and them don't fit one. Okay, I won't say that last part. Good morning, the champion. Good morning, chat. The champion is saying, I like that they are doing something, but they should have come up with something new and not copy football. But then again, Mr. Champion, I got it. I got what you're saying. But then again, Proverbs said that there's nothing new under the sun. And that's the wise man Solomon that was speaking in Proverbs when he said that there's nothing new under the sun. And maybe sometimes we just need to look back and copy. Pollard, your gig is up with them bare statics, wasting time, slowing down the game when opposition batsmen are on top. That era has ended. You better get with the program. Well said, Randy Beckers. You could not have said it more. Cricket, like other sports, depends on spectators watching it, whether at the ground or electronically. It is by spectators watching that broadcasters pay money to the organizers of these competitions. And so it is by spectators watching that sponsors pays money to the broadcasters. Now, if persons are not watching the cricket, then there will be no money to pay the players. When someone dedicated a set time in the agenda to watch a cricket match, they cannot cater for it to go on for perpetuity. And many examples can be cited. Even recently, in the final T20 match against India, Nicholas Pooran was unable to stay for the presentation because he has to catch a flight. And when millions of people are watching a cricket match, 75% of them needs the match to finish on time because they need to go because they have planned something else. If spectators cannot determine when the match is going to finish, then they will prefer not to watch it and to go about their other business. Because, to be truthful, the most important part of the match is the climax, isn't it? Isn't the climax the most important part? The finish is the most important part. That's where all the fun is. And so, if you cannot stay for the climax, you may never be interested. And if people are not watching the match, the broadcasters are not going to pay any money to broadcast it. And the sponsors are not going to pay the broadcasters any money. So this, again, I repeat, is a very, very good move from the CPL to ensure that games are finished on time, and so that a climax is reached and we can move on to our next item on the agenda. Ian James is saying, small correction, Ecclesiastes, not Proverbs. Thank you, Ian James, but it was written by Solomon. Am I correct on that part? I think that Solomon wrote both books. And not Proverbs said new under the sun to the discussion. The sun back. What's not Proverbs said nothing new under the sun. Back to the discussion. Thank you very much, Ian James. Now for the match itself. In that match, the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots made 178 for 5, thanks to Sherfane Rutherford making his first half-century in 2 years in the CPL. He made a brilliant 62 not out, helping his, from 38 deliveries, helping his team to 178 for 5. Andre Fletcher, who looked very impressive at the beginning, also made 32 from 17 deliveries, with Narayan, the man who became the first player to be expelled from an official cricket match sanctioned by Cricket West Indies and by extension, the International Cricket Council. He was the first man to get a red card in a official cricket match. He got 3 for 24 from his 4 overs, and Bravo 2 for 43 from his 4 overs. It must be noted that in this match, Elvin Lewis stepped down as captain of the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, and Sherfane Rutherford was the captain. In reply, the TKR cruised to victory at 180 for 4, with that man, the very special Nicholas Pooran, making 61 from 32 deliveries, and Pollard hitting a number of sixes in going to 37 not out from 16 deliveries. For the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriot, Bosch took 3 for 22 from 3 overs, and Blessing Muzarabani got 1 for 30 from his 3 overs. So the Trinbago Knight Riders winning that match very comfortable to chalk up their first win of the tournament. And at this stage, the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, having played 6 matches, are all but out of the tournament. It is very unrealistic, mathematically possible, yes, but it's very unrealistic that the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots will not make it to the playoffs. Should I rejoice? I do not rejoice when any team fails. I always want success. And the more competitive the tournament is, it is better for the league. But there's no love lost between me and the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. They banned me from their training session last year. So I have no love lost between them. I wish the team well. But maybe if you ask me for the team that I want to finish last in the tournament, I would say the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. And that's the situation with the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. Anthony Evans is saying, Christopher Bristol is saying, no, well, we do not want to say those things, Christopher Bristol. We don't want to say that. This rule will encourage teams to lay at least 2 spinners. If everyone gets through their overs quickly, no way teams should finish behind over rates. From as far back I can remember in cricket, you always get 4 minutes to bowl an over and 15 seconds to change between the overs from as far back. That is why you have 90 over in the day of a test cricket. 15 overs per hour, 6:15, 90. That's from far back as I know. I do not know when this rule was instituted, but as far as I can remember, the rule was there. So these players should have been used to it. Kieron Pollard must remember that he won his first CPL title because of time rules. In that match between the Barbados Royals and I think the Guyana Amazon Warriors, the rain fell in that final and the period for cutoff had passed just 2 minutes over, and Kieron Pollard pointed out that he's not taking back the field because his Barbados Royal were in front on the Duckworth-Lewis system, and so he decided not to take back the field. In his right, it was his right to do so because the cutoff time was passed. But now, when the cutoff time for the over rate bite you, you must accept it. You must hug it up. You must kiss it and take it with you. So there it is, Kieron Pollard. Good afternoon, 12:15 p.m. Mr. Casanova, good afternoon. Where are you? It's 11:15 where I am. So with the CPL now moving to Barbados, we will also see the start of the Women's CPL. So the Women's CPL have been expanded this year, and we will now see 6-7 matches in this year's tournament from the 4 that was played last year. So each team will play each other's twice this year in the Women's CPL. It will start in Barbados on Thursday, 3 p.m. Barbados time, just before the Jamaica Talawas match against the Barbados Royal, which will start at 7 p.m. Barbados time. And so the CPL for women gets going. They will play the first leg in Barbados, and the second leg and the finals will be played in Trinidad. So the CPL party has left St. Kitts and Nevis and move on now to Barbados. Now, the points table at the end of the St. Kitts leg of the CPL shows that in front is the St. Lucia Kings. The St. Lucia Kings are in front at this time in the CPL. In second place on 5 points is the Guyana Amazon Warriors. So the Guyana Amazon Warriors are in second place on 5 points at this time in the CPL. Yes, let me just get off that graphics there. Good. And so in third place, the Jamaica Talawas are on 5 points also, but with an inferior run rate from the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Jamaica have also played 1 match more than the Guyana Amazon Warriors. TKR comes fourth with 3 points, so too is the Barbados Royal. And hugging up last position is the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriot. So that's the points table as the team moves on to Barbados. The leading run scorer so far in the competition is Brandon King, continues to remain the leading run scorer with 149 runs. Flap du Plessis, who will take no further part in the competition, is on 112. And Shafrain Rutherford have moved up to third position. Behind him is Andre Fletcher and Johnson Charles, who's on 91. Rutherford is on 107, and Andre Fletcher is on 100. Rutherford is 109, and Andre Fletcher is on 107. When it comes to the leading wicket taker, Salman Ershad continues to lead the pack from the Jamaica Talawas with 7 wickets. Mohamed Amir, also from the Jamaica Talawas, has 6 wickets along with Ruston Chase. So those 2 are tied for second position. In fourth position is Drakes, Moti, and Caripier. All those 3 have 5 wickets each. So that's the table. That's the leading bowler in the competition, the leading wicket taker in the competition, and the points table, with the St. Lucia Kings now in charge and are leading the table at this stage of the competition as the players and the support staff moves on to Barbados for the next leg. Anthony Evans said that the St. Kitts and Nevis team was very unbalanced and not surprised they are in the position they are in. They should be playing carrier as their leggy and bring in a batsman for Naveed. Good point. I appreciate that point, and I always like when someone gives their opinions in this way, that onto the Evans, just showing suggestions, and I really appreciate that. Ian James is saying, the fact that Pollard feels comfortable openly saying that the red card rule is ridiculous shows a lack of respect for the umpire and officials. Similar action by players have resulted in fines. And you made a good point there, Ian James, because I am waiting to see what will happen, if there will be a reaction from the CPL committee, if there will be a reaction from the match referee, and to see if Pollard will be fined for openly criticizing a match official, because that is clearly stated in the CPL rules. And maybe he's not criticizing the match official, so maybe he will get away with that. He's really licking out at the rule. But Pollard was told this rule long before the competition, and he was also notified from over one that his team was behind. But Pollard believes that he's bigger than the game. That's how he is. I know Sheldon Smith might come at me, but that's how Pollard believes. He's bigger than the game. But last night, the power vanished. Boops, and the power was gone, and he was frustrated. Fortunately, what disappointed me last night, though, it disappointed me, and I must say this, it disappointed me. When Pollard came to bat, and I saw a little of it also from Nicholas Puran. So it was something that they had discussed in the dressing room. They were deliberately trying to waste time. Apparently, they didn't read the rule that dispensation will be given for batsmen deliberately wasting the time. They also never read the rule that said that you will get one warning from the umpire for the entire team, not per batsman, for the entire team. So if the opener gets the warning, it will trigger for the entire team. That every time this umpire suspects you of wasting time after that first warning, it's a 5 runs penalty. Apparently, they never read that rule. It's a 5 runs penalty. I have long maintained in cricket that once the bowler goes back to the top of his mark, the batsman should be ready, because the batsman is going nowhere and the bowler has to walk back to the top of his mark. So there's no excuse unless there's mitigating circumstances, which will be evident for everyone to see. Apart from that, the batsman must be ready by the time the bowler reaches back the top of his mark. And I want umpires to look at that. If the bowlers are at the top of their mark and batsmen are not ready, they should warn them. And after one warning, the 5 runs penalty should come in. That is my position. And I'm unequivocally clear about that. And I will not reverse from that. If the bowler reaches the top of his mark and the batsman is not ready, he should be warned. The Kings losing Faf is critical. Also, Johnson Charles is not in form. Yes, fortunately for the Kings, though, Lou, and welcome to the show. Nice to see you again. They're at the top of the table, and hopefully they can squeeze out enough victory to get into the playoff. Colin Monroe, the person that I heard that will be placing Faf du Plessis, is a good player and is able to produce some runs. Although the Trinbago Knight Riders let him go, I still think that he is able to contribute a number of runs. Hopefully, Ghana Amazon Warrior win this year. This is our year. Yes, Keith Evans, okay, you have to show your support for your team, and I have no issue with that. Continue to show your support for your team. Similar action by players in the other leagues would have resulted in a fine, or at the very least, a reprimand. But yes, I agree with you, Ian James, but let's wait and see. Baby, it's early days yet. It's just about 13 hours ago that the match finished, and we probably will hear something very soon. I do not want to even speak about TKR, as I call them the prima donnas. I do not see them as being a decent advert for our CPL brand. So that's Lou Prudent expressing his opinions. And you cannot fight a man for his opinion. That is his opinions. Naveed got me so angry yesterday with all those fast speed short ball at Pollard. Yes, Mr. Casanova, he needed us to take some pace off the ball and just pitch it up a little more and turn it and out Pollard. Pollard cannot back leg spin. He just intimidated these youngsters who are just learning the craft. But if he was batting to someone like Imran Tayer or so on, he would have been dismissed last night easily. I was very impressed in the manner the Warriors went about their work yesterday. A huge number of sixes, yes, on a small ground, but the singles, twos and threes were critical in their total. I want to say this, Lou Prudent. The Guyana Amazon Warriors was very, very impressive yesterday. Very, very impressive. And they look very hard to beat. Why Patriots ban you, Mr. Brown? They banned me for the training session. They said that I'm talking too much. I'm leaking too much information. I'm putting out too much information. That was the official comment that they said, that they don't want me inside the ground. Yeah, so that's coming out. It would be 5%. It should be 5% of the match fee instead of 5 runs. You would see how quickly and smoothly games would be played. Anthony Evans, to be honest, the 5% of the match fee would not really work. And it would only affect the local players who are not making a lot of money. Now, Pollard is probably getting about 150,000 US dollars for this CPL. If you divide that into 10, it's 15,000 US dollars per match. You find him 5% of that, that's 15, that's $2,225 or thereabout of the 15%. Now, that won't affect Pollard. In fact, Pollard can donate the entire amount of money that he's getting for the CPL. It won't affect Pollard and Bravo and Russell, those big wigs. The 5% will affect the smaller players. I'm one who is always in favor of in-game sanctions that will affect the result of the game. That is my opinion. Anthony Evans, you gave your opinion. I'm just giving mine. Maybe yours is right. Maybe mine is right. I am just giving my opinion. I am always in favor of in-game sanction. Claude Murphy, good. Welcome to the show, Claude Murphy. This take care team always like to waste time. From ever since, Pollard does it always too. What was all that gathering from Bravo about when he got Fletcher out? That was very overboard. Claude Murphy, I was wondering the same thing, but I guess Fletcher must have said something to him. And I hope it's just gamesmanship. I hope it was nothing harsh that was said, but I just hope it was gamesmanship. Oh, Sherwin, I'm so glad to see you, Sherwin. Welcome to the show, Sherwin. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad that you are here. Thank you for joining us. Lou Prudent is saying to Christopher Bristol, lol, Mr. Brown is a boss. Lol, lol, lol. Thank you all for tuning in. It was good to be here. It was a pleasure for you to join me. And I look forward to Wednesday when the CPL shift to Barbados. I think Barbados will play TKR in the first match, but I think Jamaica plays on Thursday. And the women CPL also start on Thursday. But Barbados Royal will play Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Jamaica time. I think that it is probably the TKR that they will be playing. Have a great day, everyone. One love. God bless. Take care of yourself and take care of your family.